Welcome to Pre-Snap Podcast, presented by LineStar app. Here's your host, Casey Bubba and Scott Bogman.
And welcome back, everybody, for another episode of the Pre-Snap Podcast, brought to you by the wonderful people at LineStar Sports. Make sure you check them out on Twitter at LineStar app, at LineStar NFL, and download the app in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Everything you need in the palm of your hands to be a winning DFS player. You can become a premium member for only $20 a month for all your sports. You got to have some kind of fix because football, folks, about to end. You can find me on Twitter at BDentric, and my co-host, as always, to give you the DFS Showdown preview of the big game on Twitter at Bogman Sports. Scott Bogman, how we doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm ready. You know, it's one of those things where you think, okay, I got 2 weeks off for the Super Bowl, but I feel like, you know, about Monday of Super Bowl week, I start getting itchy. I want to see the stuff. I want to see the game. I'm ready for it to happen. So I am pumped and ready to watch the last game of the year. I mean, the Pro Bowl. I didn't watch 1 second of it. It did nothing for me. It's two-hand. Isn't it two-hand touch for real now?
I saw like a brief highlight. It was like half speed, two-hand touch, and like McAfee and company said it was the worst thing they've ever seen.
Yeah.
Even AJ Hawk, like they're like, this is garbage. You can't play half speed. You can't play half speed. Like, just
why even do it? Yeah, the Welsh has said this for a couple of years. It'd be better if they just did a big NFL player Madden tournament. That would be more fun.
They did a skills thing with like dodgeball and stuff. Apparently, people loved it. People absolutely loved it. I'm like,
that's better than the game. They should put that where they have the game. They should put that on the
and
Sunday.
like add like 4 more events or something if you want. Like make it like a triathlon or a decathlon or something.
Remember when it was always like, you know, you had the throwing contest from the quarterbacks.
QB challenge. Yep.
Yeah,
flag football on the beach.
The QB challenge. Yeah, the flag football on the beach ended Robert Edwards' career pretty much. So
that ended the game too.
Don't need to go back to that, but we could see a 40-yard dash from guys not in the Super Bowl. You know, Daryl Green used to smoke everybody every year. That stuff was fun. So
like the NHL and NBA, they do their skills competitions, and those are awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes. Exactly. And we're adding games to the regular season. We've had enough football. We don't need to see a half speed game. So
yeah, and the guys that are there to party and like have a vacation. They're not there to play. It's not in the middle of the season like any other sport. So it's like, really, these guys don't care about going all out.
And isn't it weird to have the weakest game of the year, the Pro Bowl, the week before the most hard-fought game of the year in the Super Bowl, because these guys want that ring so bad.
Yep, it needs to go, and it goes to show you how much guys don't want to be there, because Rodgers pulled out, Josh Allen pulled out to go play in Pebble Beach instead of play in the Pro Bowl. Like, these guys
made Mac Jones a Pro Bowler.
Exactly, and so and the other thing is, what I'd love to see is put it back in Hawaii. That was like tradition. There's like, I know I get like the pros and cons to it, but there's something about, you know, the game.
I think more guys want to go if it's in Hawaii. You know,
vacation for the family. Into the season. Let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to bring your family to Vegas. Come on, who wants to bring their family to Vegas? That's guy time.
Yeah, that's right.
that's not bring the wife and kids time. It's different.
Yeah, unless you're Alvin Kamara.
Well, he might have needed to bring a wife and kids or something, because that would have kept him out of trouble. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother show.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and he might too. We'll see. So
yeah, he might stay there for a little bit. That's for sure. The other guy will for sure, because he's going to have surgery. But let's talk NFL DFS showdown for the big game. It's going to be a doozy. We already gave our picks and bets. Bogman took the Rams in the under. I took the Bengals in the over. We got all kinds of prop bets to get you going. There's more prop bets get released throughout the week. So, get your national anthem time and all that fun stuff out there. Enjoy the big game with some friends and family or whatever you plan to do. Win your squares, whatever you want to do. But there is DFS, and there's some big-time contests out there that you can win all the monies if you're feeling it. So, Bogman, let's have some fun here, and let's just talk about captain options here. Obviously, it kind of correlates with the MVP, Burrow and Stafford, probably the favorites. That's how it usually goes. But there's some other studs that you could put in a captain on this slate. So, what are you looking at?
In terms of captain, I probably want to go with one of the big-time wide receivers. It's either Chase or Kupp. I'm on the Rams side, so I'll probably go with Kupp, and I know he's crazy expensive at 17.4, but, I think Odell isn't a bad option at 12.6 either. I don't really want any of the running backs in my captain spot. I mean, we'll break it down by position here in a second, but there's just too much weirdness going on with the running backs overall, so I'm almost assuredly going to have a wide receiver in my, you and I you're and I matchup, the showdown here. I'm almost assuredly going to go with Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I like the idea of going with a receiver as well. I think Cup's the big one if you want to, but I like the idea of going to the OBJ or even T Higgins potentially, because I love Jamar Chase, but I think Higgins might get a lot of love in this game. So that would be quite interesting as well. So I'm with you on that. But let's go a little position by position. As you mentioned, you got Joey Burrow. He's the man, the myth, the legend. And you got Matty Stafford. So two just awesome quarterbacks that we've seen fling it all over. Burrow, a more consistent fantasy guy, but Stafford's had an amazing fantasy season as well. So where do you stand on these two?
I think I'm going to go with Burrow. I just like the price on Burrow more here. It's a little bit cheaper than Matt Stafford on pretty much everything, as a captain, as a regular flex play, and on FanDuel as well. He's a little bit cheaper. And like I said, I think the Rams win this game. I do think it's going to go under, but under plays poorly to both sides on offense, so it doesn't really matter. But I think the Bengals are going to have to play catch up. Like I said in the show last time, and garbage time counts all the same for us. So I'll take those garbage yards and all that stuff. So give me Joe Burrow if I have to pick a quarterback here.
Yeah, both are fine plays for sure. I'm just going Joey Burrow because I feel like he's got more touchdown equity. Like Mixon's the better running back in the backfields, but we've seen multiple running backs get rush attempts. Like there's so many things in LA that can differ. Where I think Burrow's going to be throwing a lot in this game. Lots of screen passes, just a lot of throwing from Joey Burrow. So I like Burrow as well. Ideally, if you're playing cash for some reason in a showdown, you want both of them. But that's expensive, and you'll have to be different. But you can. But if I got to pick one, I'm going Joey Burrow as well. But that should be no surprise to the listeners. Running back, you got Mixon, who I just mentioned. He's an absolute beast. But P. Ryan's getting his love. You got Evans, Akers. Sony might get some in this one. So what do you like out of the backfield?
Well, and we heard that Sean McVay said that it is looking optimistic. Rams coach Sean McVay said it's looking optimistic for Daryl Henderson to play in the Super Bowl as well.
I made that comment after the title game. I can't remember who I was talking to. Like, oh no, that's crazy. It's Cam's field now. I said it was Daryl's earlier. So let's not throw that away. It was Daryl's because Cam went down, but I could see Daryl jumping Sony type situation.
Well, here's the thing: is Cam Akers has had some fumbling stuff. Plus, he comes in with the AC joint.
Always banged up.
So he is banged up, coming off the Achilles and the AC joint in the NFC Championship. He had 2 weeks to recover, and I can't remember who said it, but someone said, "Yeah, we're treating these 2 weeks like they're magic. They're not always magic. It doesn't always heal just because you have an extra week. The extra week is obviously helpful, but it's not like the extra week is a cure for any type of injury. So this Rams backfield could be FUBAR. I mean, it could be completely different. It could, if Cam Akers fumbles early, then maybe Sony Michel sees more options. Maybe Daryl Henderson's now in on receiving downs and stuff like that. They can split it up 3 ways. So I think the safest running back in this game, and I think it was before we mentioned that Daryl Henderson might play, is Joe Mixon. And Joe Mixon isn't even that safe because Samaje Perine played most third downs in passing situations, 3rd and long. He was in there. He had the big gainer in the AFC Championship as well. So, I mean, I don't know that Samaje Perine is going to get 1 carry, but he could get 4 or 5 catches, which could eat into Joe Mixon's production, which is why I said at my captain spot, I'm definitely going to be taking a wide receiver. But Mixon is the safest. I don't mind Samaje Perine at this price point. I think it's great. 3,600, 2,400. He's definitely going to be in my lineups on DK for sure. I think I'm just going to pretty much avoid the running back situation for the Rams because I just don't know what it's going to end up looking like.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Mixon, I think, makes for a nice contrarian captain play as well. If you expect him to get a lot of the passing work, which he does, even though Perine gets his, Mixon will get his fair share as well. And all it takes is a touchdown or 2, and you can have some fun for sure. So he's interesting. But I love the Perine call. For those who listen to the Picks and Bet show, we love the Perine. I think over 1.5 receptions, over like 9.5 receiving yards. We just have a hunch that he's going to get some of that third down passing role and just short passing game in general, which they might be doing quite a bit with that pass rush from the Rams. So I think Perine at like 2,400 in the flex position. I wouldn't play him in captain. I don't think he's got that kind of ceiling, but cheap flex, I think that's a nice way to open up some salary. On the flip side, like the Ram situation is tricky. I don't mind Akers at 6,400 just because if he stays healthy, he still gets a ton of the passing game where Sony doesn't.
He's got the most upside for sure.
Exactly. And I've preached that ever since he's come back. And literally, 2 fumbles inside like the 5. He's had a Matt Stafford rushing touchdown. There's games where he could have just bursted through the ceiling.
Right.
And he just misses it. So he's got that potential each and every game. So I do like Akers in that regard. And if Daryl Henderson, the news keeps getting better and better, people might stay away more from Akers, which I think opens him up to an even better tournament play in that scenario. Because like we talked about before, don't fault the Bengals defense either. It's a tough team that's going to make Stafford's life difficult as well. So I think Akers is definitely in play. All right, receivers now. You mentioned it. You got Chase, Higgins, Boyd, Cup, Beckham, Van, Skwanowicz, or whatever his name is. Like, there's tons of options here. Skwarnick. So what do you like in here? Because it's a pricey range, but some studs.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Cup and Chase are your 1-2 options. It's not even a question here. I would say, to me, Cup is your 1, and Chase is your 2. You on board with that?
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Cup is clearly the one. Just like even if Chase outplays him, I still will go with Cup as the one for what the consistency that Cup brings you each and every single week is ridiculous.
Then I'd go with OBJ at 2 and Higgins at 3. I like both these guys. I just like OBJ's upside a little bit more because I think your corner matchup, I think he's going to get Eli Apple for most of the game. So I think you want to put a Woozier on Cup. I think you want to put, and look, they may not move these guys. So the shadowing has gone away from the NFL. It's not even really a thing anymore. Now, might bring it back for the Super Bowl because you don't want to get beat by Jamar Chase. So you might just say Ramsey on Chase and see how it happens. Like we said in the last show, though, just because you put Ramsey on Chase doesn't mean he's going to win. We saw him get torched by Mike Evans, and Ramsey's still one of the best corners in the league, right? But wide receivers are always better. Wide receivers make more money. They have more notoriety, all that stuff. Like the best athletes are put at wide receiver before they're put at corner, just starting from a young age, moving all the way up through high school, college, and in the pros. If you're the best athlete, you're going to be on the offensive side of the ball. It's just the way it works most of the time. So just because Ramsey is the best corner in the league and he's playing against Chase doesn't mean he's going to beat Chase. It means that you want to give your best option, because if you put, if you put somebody else on Chase, it's not going to work out so well. So we'll just say that. But, I think I would go with Higgins and OBJ in that second tier. Higgins or OBJ for me because of the matchup. Higgins too. But I think there is a really good debate between Boyd and Jefferson for me, because Uzama's going to play in this game from what we're hearing, but is he really going to be active? And are they going to have him in most snaps? Because Drew Sample's a better blocker. And we talked about the biggest mismatch here is the Rams defensive line against the Bengals offensive line. So are they going to have Drew Sample in on more plays just because he's a better blocker here and he's more healthy to not go out and catch balls, but to help stop Floyd and Miller and Gaines and of course Aaron Donald and all those guys? Are they going to have him working more? So I think I would rather go with Boyd than I would with Jefferson, just because Jefferson's been banged up. But I will freely admit that Jefferson definitely offers the higher ceiling here between Boyd and Jefferson. What do you think about that one?
I completely agree, especially with the Uzomah stuff that you mentioned. Boyd, like we saw it when Uzomah went down, Boyd, he's already been getting a pretty decent look most of the season, especially later in the season. But when Uzomah went down, it was really big because Uzomah's role, they were almost getting similar play calls, basically. Like I just pulled up just for all 3 postseason games. So obviously Uzomah missed a lot of the last one. Uzomah had 16 targets. Boyd had 14 targets. Boyd had 4 red zone targets, though, in the postseason. He has led the team in that respect. So if you want those points, potential touchdowns, that's a big thing. But, Boyd had 10 catches. Uzomah 13 catches. Higgins 14 catches, not that far apart. Boyd just doesn't get the yards, only 62 yards on all of his catches. But, 1 touchdown in the postseason as well. I think he's definitely there for the savings, as you mentioned. I think there's a lot to like in that regard. He's 76, or not Higgins, he's 5,400. Which isn't too shabby. compared to Van at 52. So I lean Boyd as well. For me, it's like Van has been good. Let me see real quick. Let me pull up what the Rams. So in the 3 postseason games, Van has 9 targets, which is 4th on the team behind Higbee, Beckham, and Cup. Obviously, Higbee not around anymore. Red zone targets and end zone targets, he's got 2 each. He's got 5 catches, which is tied for 4th on the team. Blanton all of a sudden is 4th. But the one that I wanted to ask you about, we saw the big drop touchdown. That is Ben Skoranek. That was his only target the entire postseason.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like Ben Skoranek, but it's going to take an injury for him to, really be involved. He's a great blocker, which is why they have him in most of the time. And the guy can get open. He runs solid routes, but I don't know that he's going to see more than 1 or 2 targets. Maybe on a trick play or something, you could see Ben Skoranek get something, but he's a special teams ace. He's a good blocker. He can catch the ball, but they're just not going to. When you have OBJ and Cup and Akers and all these other super talented players, it's just tough to find him any targets. And he got one and dropped it last week. You know what I mean? And that was 6 points you dropped, son.
Yep.
So
only target of the entire postseason.
It's going to be tough to go back to him. So
and that's why I just wanted to bring him up, because he's super cheap, so people will want to look
we
at him.
saw
And,
Trent Taylor for Cincinnati score a 2-point conversion with Uzama down. So, if Uzama, it looks like Uzama's going to play, but Taylor's an option. So
and like I pulled up the Bengals targets. Both these teams are rather condensed on their target shares. It's surprising you don't get those random guys, because outside of Boyd, Mixon, Uzama, Higgins, and Chase, P. Ryan had 6 targets on the postseason. Sample had 2 because Uzama went down. They're not counting the 2-point play, so no other, like Trent Taylor, 0 targets the entire postseason.
Right.
So it's like, sure, if you want to throw some darts and just pray like this cheap guy gets like 1 for 6 and maybe whatever. Okay, if you really think that opens you up a ton, but
that's a prayer though.
That's
really for multiple entries.
Yeah,
multiple entries. You're trying one with Skoranek, you're trying one with Taylor or whatever. Maybe a sample, even maybe he scores 2 touchdowns or something weird and random, right? So, that's for multiple entries. If you're doing one with your buddies or you're doing one, one lineup contest and stuff, I don't see how you can get Skoranek or Taylor or any of those guys in, because like you said, it's condensed and it's supposed to be condensed. When you have the 2 best teams, you're not fooling anyone. You don't have to fool anybody. You have to beat them straight up, and that's what these guys have been doing all year long.
Yep, 100%. So it'll be interesting. But I'm with you. Cup's the guy. Chase is awesome, but I like the Higgins call. Love OBJ. We talked about him getting the over props earlier. So we're all on a lot of the same pages with the receivers, and I think you're going to be surprised when like an OBJ or a Higgins outscores at least a Chase or a Cup somewhere. Like they'll be that surprised. There always is in the Super Bowl. Someone outshines the expected. So wouldn't be shocked. Let's go to tight end. You mentioned Uzama. He's expected to play. He says he's going to play. A lot of guys will say that right now. He's 4,400, where Sample's 42, more of the blocker, but he did get 2 targets last week. So he's at least more lively than some of those receivers we talked about, but he's more expensive.
Right.
Like DK at least did a good job, and so did FanDuel pricing them up appropriately. Higbee's 48, and I'm really shocked they priced Blanton perfectly at 46. Like I thought that was going to be the free square.
Right.
Ain't so free. But I will say, still at 46, if you want to, I'll give you the floor here in a minute. But if you do want to talk, like I said, targets, freaking Blanton got 7 targets this postseason. He got a ton last week. They put him straight into that Higbee role without even hesitating against the Niners, and that was pretty telling to me that if he gets to start, I don't mind him at his discount.
And we've seen Blanton score, so I think if you're looking at one tight end, I think Blanton is the guy. Higbee hasn't practiced. We don't even know if he's going to play. He's a big question mark right now. So let's just kind of take him off the board, right? Uzama's going to play, but is he going to be more decoy? That's what I feel like, because it looked like his season was over when he had that injury in the AFC Championship game. And Drew Sample's just not – he's a good blocker, right? He's not going to catch too many balls. He didn't at Washington either. So I think he's mainly a blocking tight end. So I'm not going to screw around with him. So Blanton is really the only option, in my opinion. But when you have the choice between Blanton and like the Rams or Bengals defense, I'm going to take a defense instead. It just gives you more options, than one guy to score. I think this game is going to play towards the under, and I think that these defenses are going to step up and play well in this game. So to me, it just makes a little sense to go ahead and take one of these defenses over a guy like Kendall Blanton in that flex spot. So I think I'd rather do that.
Speaking of defenses, I was shocked that the Rams were only $3,400.
Yeah.
I think that's phenomenal because at worst, 5 sacks? That's 5 points.
Right.
It's like even if the Bengals go off, we've talked about this. This team's got so much upside for turnovers and sacks. It's crazy.
Right, exactly. So you're getting more options to score points on the defensive side than taking a tight end. So I'm with you, and I think both of these are viable offenses. We talked about this. Matt Stafford led the league in interceptions this year. Joe Burrow got sacked more than any times this year. So these defenses are going to make a play at some point. Somebody's going to come away like if. Do you think there's definitely a defensive score in this game? Because I feel like there almost for sure is a defensive score.
I think there's at least one. I don't
Right.
like we talked about in the props. Is it a pick six? Is it a fumble sack like Von Miller had in his Super Bowl? It feels
Could be
like
a safety too.
Yeah.
Just the defense
feels
scoring.
like there'll be some points for sure.
Right. Exactly. I kind of have that gut feeling as well too. So I'm on board with taking a defense, and I'm good with either side because I think it's going to be a lower scoring game.
If you want to be contrarian, you play the Bengals. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Because I think most people will take the route that we've said, like, Von Miller, Aaron Donald, they're going to get their sacks, and it makes total sense. Like, it's not Captain Obvious, but Bengals have been awesome. Hubbard and company have been dealing. Their secondary might actually be, as a whole, better than the Rams potentially. So it's tough because Eli Apple still sucks so bad. But it's not a big gap. Let's put it that way. So
Right.
And Stafford, I think, is more prone to the turnover than Burrow is. So that makes
He definitely is. He definitely is.
I think that Bengals play could be nice and contrarian if you want to go that route. Now, the point everybody loves in a DFS show is let's talk kickers, Bogman. We got Money Mac at 4K and 9K on FanDuel against Mr. Matt Gay at 38 and 95. Gay's a little banged up, but he should be good to go. And Money Mac, he's always good to go.
These are two great kickers, right? We've seen McPherson nail game winners. Matt Gay was a Pro Bowler, all that stuff. I'm taking a defense over a kicker too. I just can't do it. So I highly doubt I will be having a kicker in any of my lineups.
Interesting. I like the idea of Money Mac. I'll say that much. Like, would you rather have a kicker over Blanton?
No, I think I'd rather go with Blanton for the touchdown upside.
Okay. Interesting. Very, very interesting.
My score is 27-21. So I got the Rams kicking 2 and only 3 extra points for Cincinnati. So, probably not going to play out like that. But, I'm not going to take a kicker.
Yeah, I'll take my Money Mac, love. I love Money Mac. But if you don't want a kicker, I get it. But if I'm taking one, it's Money Mac for me. Definitely going that route. But most importantly, stay tuned for news. Lots more coming up this week. Like Higbee news could be big because it does make a big difference with Blanton. Because even if Higbee plays, it'll limit Blanton. I think Blanton's still the guy, similar to how Sample and Uzuma, but maybe they're just decoys. Lots of ways to go there. Maybe we get some better questions and situations on how things might line up. Are they going to play Ramsey on Chase, or are they going to put somebody over the top and put Chase on Ramsey on
Media day today, so we're gonna get some stuff coming out,
which sucks.
Sure.
It's usually on Monday, so I'm kind of bummed they moved it back a few days, but it's what it is. So yeah, we'll get some good nuggets on a Wednesday for you. But before we sign off, for the last time this year, touchdown calls of the week. Make sure you follow LineStar on Twitter at LineStar app and at LineStar NFL. Retweet the tweet that gives out the touchdown calls from Bogman, myself, and Mr. Ryan Humphreys. If you retweet it, and three lucky reachers will get paired with each one of us. If our guy scores, you get some free swag. So Bogman, on your final call, Super Bowl 56. Who's your touchdown call of the week?
Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be my touchdown call of the week. Go Rams. Let's ram it, baby. Bring it home.
Yep, that's a great one. That's a phenomenal one. Love me some OBJ. Thanks for that. Well, since you took the one I wanted, I'll take the easy one. Give me some Cooper Kupp. Give me some Cooper Kupp, because all he does is score. So I'll take Kupp. You take OBJ. That makes a lot of sense. Humphreys most likely will take a Cincinnati Bengal now. Well, we just put him in a corner.
Take a Ram too. Take Akers. Come on, let's do it. Let's all go on the Ram side.
That'd be good. But hopefully we get some free swag for you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoy the game. Hopefully it's a great game. I don't want to blow out. Just have a good game. Let's have some fun. But let's do the picks and bets to have all the fun stuff there. If you have any more questions, hit us up on Twitter at BDentric, at Bogman Sports, or download the app in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. It's been a pleasure, everybody. Good luck. Enjoy the game. Catch you guys next time.
Good luck. See ya.
Thanks for listening to Pre-Snap Podcast, presented by LineStar app. Please like, comment, subscribe, and rate for good karma in your fantasy football games.